Person to Person. I am your host, Jenny Hoff, and I'm joined today by Larry Wilson, world famous blues guitarist and owner of Bastrop's famed Larry Land's Music Store. Larry, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
You've had a fascinating life, and I want to talk about the beginning. Well, how did you get your start in music?
I was born in Austin, and I grew up in Houston, Texas, till I was about 20. And when I was a young man, I was raised on the east side of Houston, so I learned the blues, the rock and roll, everything off of a few of the old cats when I was a young man, 14 or 15. Then I was learned blues guitar and stuff, and then I had some great culture on the east side of Houston. I learned Spanish music.
Wow.
I just learned everything, anything that would give me a free beer, as a young man, that I pretty much showed up and played.
And so you grew up there, and then when did you come to Bastrop?
Well, I grew up there, but I came to Austin.
Okay.
And it was, mainly for the music. And so I came to Austin, and
How old were you?
golly, I was 20 years old.
20 years old. So you had learned kind of from the scene in
from
the
the
Houston
Houston,
area,
that's right.
all the
Yes.
different types of music,
Right.
and then you found your sound.
I found my sound. Then I came and started playing with other people, and they liked my sound. Everybody from Jimmy Carl Black, who was Frank Zappa's drummer, the Mothers of Invention, and then all the way to Jimmy LaFave, who I was with for a long time.
Wow. Then when did it really take off? When did you start your own band, start touring, start really making your own sound and getting your notoriety?
Yeah, I actually mainly got my notoriety of the way I could play guitar with whoever was singing,
Okay.
to build a frame around their vocal,
Okay.
around their picture. That's where I really got as far as getting noticed, was as a guitar player. And then I put together my first really group I kind of put together was Pound for Pound. That was back in mid-'80s, and played things local, didn't really hit the road with that. And then one day I was at Chicago House down on 6th Street on Trinity, and there was this guy singing that blew my mind. It was at an open mic, and I walked up, and then I played, and I walked to the bar, and he said, "Man, my name's Jimmy LaFave. What's your name?"
What?
And he said,
Oh, wow.
he said, "Hey, man, I like your playing. You want to play?" And I thought, God, you're such a great singer. Hell yeah, heck yeah, I want to play.
And that's how you met?
That's how I met Jimmy. I met him at Chicago House on Trinity Street. He was running an open mic.
Open mic night.
Then we did a duo for a while. Then we added a bass player and drummer. And then we started doing records.
Wow. And so where did your touring take you? Where did you travel?
Canada, Europe, and USA.
Jimmy LaFave, you played with him for a long time.
For a long time.
But then also a lot of other musicians that you've played with. Talk about that.
Well, I've been real fortunate to do some stuff with Willie Nelson. Did some TV stuff with him and Kinky Friedman and Ray Price. And then, golly, I'm not a name dropper, but let me dig them up here. And when I was touring with Jimmy, I ended up playing Songwriter on the Round for Jackson Browne and Steve Earle. They invited me, and that was a pretty cool compliment, and everybody sees those Steve Earle as the rough guy. He's really a softie backstage. Go ahead, I had to say that.
So you were really enmeshed in the Texas music scene.
Yes.
And as it grew, and legendary musicians have come out of the Texas area, and Central Texas in particular. Yeah. What was the music scene like back then, kind of compared to now, would you say?
Oh, my God. I think back then it was a little bit more about the song and the camaraderie and the fellowship. To where now it's, a lot of people are stabbing to make it and they want to be seen. Yeah. And I understand that. It's always kind of been that way. But back then, you could call somebody up and say, "Hey, let's meet this Wednesday and let's write." And we'd all show up and write all day, to where now, it's mainly some lead guy that does all the writing and everybody follows him. And so that's kind of the difference. Like now I've got a group that I have a lady singer, Jill Bates, and Rick Wood on upright bass. And I kind of picked them out. It took me a couple of years to get them. And so when I finally found them guys, now we write. I'll show up and say, "Hey, here's what's on my mind, and here's a riff, and we take it and run. And now we're writing as a trio. It's
so back in the good old days, the way you guys did it back then.
Man, it really is. It's back like in the good old, especially here in Bastrop. It's really, this place is really kind of old Austin. It's
Yeah, and it really sounds like that because you started picking on the porch, which we're going to talk about now, how you started that and what it's all about. But it's really, you're wanting to build that camaraderie again, that atmosphere that you had when you got in that music business. And talk a little bit about that.
Right. I will. First of all, leaving something behind is really a lot more fun than people think.
Yeah.
Okay. Leaving a little bit for the people.
Yeah.
One day, when they all come to my funeral, they'll go, you know what? He was a good guitar player, but boy, he was a cool guy too.
Yeah.
He brought us all together. So that's,
yeah.
That's kind of my angle on it. But when I started picking on the porch, I ended up wanting to meet the local musicians and let them know they can play with a guy like me, quote unquote, and still we're all the same.
Right.
And so the first one I did, there were 5 people who showed up. And I thought, man, that was really cool, man. Some people really want to be here. And then from then on, it's over 20 to 25 musicians every first Friday. And it just exploded. It made Texas Monthly and Texas Highways. And I was amazed because I didn't start it for no reason except getting folk together and let's all get out here and have some fun and bring 3 chords and attitude.
So tell us a little bit about what is it, this scene. So it's outside of your music store,
Yes.
Larry Land's music store, and you guys all just gather there the first Friday of every month.
That's right.
And people can bring their guitar, and they don't need to be expert musicians. They don't need to be trained. They need to know just maybe a couple chords.
Even less.
Even less. And then just come and play together and get to know each other.
That's right. Get to know each other. I've had people come up to me that couldn't even play a guitar. I said, sit by me and scratch on it and sing along. And now they're playing in mandolins and everything.
Wow.
I mean, you wouldn't believe in 5 or 6 years the people that have learned to play instruments and got interested. And I just told them, I said, it's 3 chords, man, and an attitude. It just ain't that complicated. Play and have fun, and whatever's good for you, it will stick to you.
I feel like that is also really important what you started because in the Austin area, it's become a little bit of a really tough music scene to be a part of. If you're just getting your start, there's a lot of competition. It's hard to get a gig. There's so many people that it's not the way it was when you were starting out, where you could just go meet some legendary musician and chat it up. But you're creating that here in Bastrop. So you're giving an opportunity for these creatives to have another place to grow their music, to get their name out there, to build their music without having to pay the Austin cost of living.
That's exactly right. Yeah. A good example of that is a fella named Ben Zuniga, who worked with me for years. A very, very, very neat, very talented guy. And I kind of just took him under my wing a little bit. And I don't, take a lot of credit, except I shared with him things. And now he's tours and everything. He's done the Songwriters of Texas. He's just, so that's kind of what it's about, is convincing, especially the young ones. If they really write that really good song, it'll carry them all the way. And they're playing really well. There's a bunch of really good talent here in Bastrop.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And in no small part to you. So you started Larry Land's music store after you were on tour. So you've been traveling around. You've been living the musician life on the road. Yeah. And finally there came a moment where that had to end. Talk a little bit about that and how you started Larry Land Music Store.
Well, when the touring ended, believe it or not, after major spine surgeries, you wouldn't believe this, I've had 6 hand surgeries.
Oh my! As a guitarist.
As a guitar player.
Wow.
So people that are behind the keyboard, I feel so far. I understand it now. So when I just decided I didn't want to be on the road and do that no more, I got a little uptight at my wife one day, and I said, hey, the grandkids are taking over every daggum room, and I have no man cave. And she said, why don't you go downtown and find a building and build you a man cave, okay?
Smart woman.
And I was like, okay, I can do that. It never crossed my mind to do that.
Yeah.
It just didn't. And so that's when it started, was me trying to find me a man cave.
Place where you could pick at guitars all day long and no kids running in to break anything.
That's exactly right. But there is the other things where you've got some players that come in that know one note and they want to play it for 30 minutes. So it really taught me a lot of patience between that and grandchildren.
Right.
I got some pretty daggone good patience.
And so you started your music store when?
2000, I think 10.
And so you sell all kinds of instruments?
I sell guitars, all kinds local built. I've got drums, cajones. I got anything, even violin maker. And I sell mainly just instruments,
So you were in the Austin music scene. Mm-hmm. And when did you decide to put some roots down in Bastrop?
Me and my wife decided right after 9/11, we would go ahead and move. It's getting a little big for us. We wanted to come out, try something different, and we're glad we did. We love it out in the country here, and my wife's from Louisiana, so she walked up and saw the pine trees and said, "This reminds me of home." Yeah. I said, "Okay, let's move." So.
And you get to live close to the Colorado River.
Yep, close to the Colorado River. Got a creek running behind me and my property. It's pretty cool. Got dogs, cats, and critters.
Pretty different scene.
Pretty different scene. Really liked it, though. Really love it.
So what do you love about living in Bastrop here? Besides just you have the nature, you have this kind of idyllic homestead, but about just being part of the community. What do you like to do around town?
We like to go out and eat. I like to listen to a couple of the locals here. We like to come downtown sometime, me and my wife, and just walk around and, run it. We always run into somebody we know. You get in a little small town, you're going to run into somebody. And I just like it because it's it's almost like having a party. If you have a party of 50 or 60, well, you only really get to talk to about 3 or 4, maybe 10 if you're lucky, 5 people, to where if you invite just 2 couples over, you can a little more in depth.
Right.
And so that's the good thing about small town is I can't go nowhere without somebody noticing or knows me. And that's pretty cool to me. I mean, it doesn't bug me.
Yeah.
Some people it torments, but I'm just glad to see them.
Yeah, you're not anonymous here.
No,
neighbors know neighbors. You go to a restaurant, you see people you know.
I do. That's right.
And you got the Austin and San Antonio really just down the street, basically, in either direction.
Oh, if I want to do something, I can just go to Austin. It's only 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
Makes it real simple.
Yeah.
So, and I do go to Austin still to see a couple of my friends, Shiny Ribs, all them guys are my buds,
You even played at ACL, Austin City Limits.
Yeah, I got to play the ACL, knock on wood again.
Well, that's fantastic. And what a gem to have in Bastrop here.
Thank
You've
you.
really influenced so many people in the community to get started in music and to develop that passion. And it's really been great talking to you today.
Well, thank you very much. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you too.
Right.
And we really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Person to Person and getting to meet one of the very talented members of the Bastrop community who helps make this place just such a vibrant place to live and work. We'll see you next time.
To the 4.